Bases dropped on a wall pass Wednesday. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer down here. John here, Jared there, you there. And we got a bunch of different directions we can go because, well, I mean, obviously it's a wall pass Wednesday, so anything's on the table. So here's what's on the table, and we'll probably hit various and sundry pieces of it. Jared's a short timer this morning, so he'll be here for opening kickoff. So I've got to think of something opening kickoff-y to kind of get things moving. Alexander Sefrin says that, yeah, Manchester City's guilty. He had an interview in the Telegraph and said as much. We'll go over that article. AFCON and the Asia Cup continue to be absolutely bonkers, nuts, crazy. And if you haven't had the chance to watch it, do so on Fanatis or on Shumho if you have that. FanatisFNTC.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, and it helps you out because you get to see the stupidity of everything going on in AFCON. Apparently, Egyptian fans are mad that Mo Salah has gone back to Liverpool to get treatment, and they're thinking that, oh, this was part of the plan. Part of the plan was for him to go back and not come back. And Liverpool's like, no, he's just getting treatment. And when he's okay, I mean, he's going to be out a month, but, he'll come back and support, he'll be there. Stuff with Reading, stuff with Crystal Palace. Looks like we might have an indoor World Cup final in 2026. We mentioned how Dallas is going to be elevating their field like 12 feet from where it is for football so it can fit. Gio Reyna looks like he might be heading to Nottingham Forest. Thank you, Jorge Mendes. And Al Nassr's tour has been canceled. And Sportico this morning came out with the MLS evaluation rankings. So we've got that to look into as well. And Dylan Butler hopefully joining us at 10 o'clock this morning. So it'll be kind of a packed deal. So Jarrett, I mean, we talked about Gio Reyna, and since Dell is like, yay, Gio, don't tell Nick. The new agent for Gio Reyna, who is apparently like walking hand in hand with Evangelinas Marinakis over at Nottingham Forest. It's like, yeah, bro, I got you a team. I'm getting you players. I mean, this sounds just like the new Zlatan Ibrahimovic with Jorge Mendes, and he's wrapping himself around Gio Reyna. It looks like Gio might be heading to Nottingham Forest now.
And that's more your territory. You know more about the degeneracy of England than I do, about whether or not that's a good fit, or whether or not it's going to fit how he plays, or if he can continue to improve there.
Yeah.
It does, like, from my view, which isn't the best one because I don't pay attention to Germany or England that well.
Right.
I'll tell you straight up. I don't know if, like, going to Nottingham is maybe better for him, but, like, my caveat for this has been, hey, Gio, go where you want. Just make sure Claudia don't go with you.
Yeah.
Like, get out from under dad and mom.
Uh-huh.
Because so much of the stupidity has centered around them. Get out from under dad and mom. See if that helps. If you still can't keep your head on straight, then we got to have a deeper conversation about maturity. Doesn't mean that you can't mature. Plenty of guys act an ass when they're young and then mature over time. For my specific brand of degeneracy, Tony Watt was 18 years old when he scored against Barcelona for Celtic in Champions League, and got way too big for his britches way too quickly and floundered. And I think he's at Dundee now.
Yeah.
But now he's 30 years old, and he's kind of settled into a groove. Doesn't mean it'll take Gio till he's 30, but maybe Gio needs to get away and mature a bit. I have no problem with this kind of thing if it means he can grow as a player and a person, and that's okay.
Yeah. And the thing for me is, like, all of this stuff, business seems to have picked up when Gio switched to Jorge Mendes, and now Jorge Mendes seems to be like making sure that his relationship with Nottingham Forest is going to be steering players. Gee, we've never had agents steer players to the teams that they've been plugged into in the past. That's never happened before. But yeah, it seems like Jorge Mendes and Gio Reyna, they're like,
to Dell's point, like, yeah, Weston McKennie's a great example of somebody who is matured, who was just acting the fool and has grown up, and that's okay. It happens. Doesn't mean anyone's a failure.
Yep. So, I mean, it is once again an agent, and Jorge Mendes is super agent. I mean, he's got like the S on his chest and everything. And now that Gio is a part of this, it looks like obviously the attention being steered now to this kind of stuff.
Is he like the? Is he? Can we call him the Drew Rosenhaus or the Scott Boras? Or
Yes.
is there more shenanigans involved there? Because that kind of makes it more fun. If so,
Oh, I mean, there's always. I mean, he leaves Wasserman. Gio Reyna
yeah.
leaves Wasserman, and then goes to Jorge Mendez's Gestafute. And it's just, yeah, this is like you want to talk soccer's Drew Rosenhaus or what have you, Scott Boras. This is, yeah, you're looking at that guy for soccer with Jorge Mendes. And Mendes, like I said, Mendes and Zlatan Ibrahimovic were, joined at the hip for years. I don't know why this is supposed to be the new solution for him, but sure, why not?
As long as he's not in the driveway doing crunches like To, man, Gio's gonna be okay. And like, especially if you can get Gio somewhere where he can like get him a new voice in his head other than the one at Borussia Dortmund.
But it's
And
Nuno
other than
now, maybe.
it, you know what? Any port in the storm, man. And Gio's been in a storm for the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And some of it is his own doing, some of it's his family's doing. However, that breaks down. We're not 100% sure.
Right.
Get Gio into a new port, and yeah, man, like maybe Nuno's not perfect, but maybe it'll help him. Maybe it'll help him. Because again,
Yeah.
to Dell's point, Weston matured.
Yes.
These guys grow up at different rates, and we talk about this with the kids all the time, John, with the second team.
Uh-huh.
We ask a lot of kids who are anywhere between generally 17 into their early 20s, and yeah, I mean, God, human beings mature differently. We ask a lot of teenagers
Yes.
to act like adults and people in their early 20s to act like adults and to make consistently sound decisions, and sometimes they're going to get out of pocket.
Yep.
But hopefully it doesn't it feels like kind of a weird, almost like cartoonish fit, like a contrived, if we are still doing like the carried story in the FIFA games from like 4 or 5 years ago, the Alex Hunter stories, this feels like the kind of movie you would have done.
Right.
Except that one was damn hilarious because in the second edition of those games, like his agent screws up a transfer and he ends up in MLS playing for the Galaxy, and then you have to like partner up with Jossie Zardes. It's just a weird wormhole of history to get sucked into.
Yep. All right, before you go, there's a lot of talk about Miguel Almiron still floating out there. Al-Shabaab still floating out there. And the next element that has been attached to this, and we had thought that this was part of the deal. We didn't know or understand the extent of it. It appears that Miguel has a 20 to 25%, and this is from Tommy Scoops and a couple of other folks, that there is a 20 to 25% sell-on fee that would be heading Atlanta United's way should the transfer to Al-Shabaab go through. And there are folks that are wondering about the fee. Emilio is an example. At some point, can you explain how money received from a sell-on can be used? Understand it can't be used for any of the AMs or cap purposes, and he gets that. Is it just put under the bed until it's used toward a transfer fee for a new DP like Mbappe? So 20 to 25% of a transfer fee might be heading Atlanta United's way. And the explanation is it does help with your day-to-day revenues and investing in your other players and all these kinds of things. NewcastleWorld.com, by the way, Jarrett. Miguel Almiron's partner has
that sounds like the kind of website where you have to throw the computer out because there's not an antivirus software alive.
Right.
Clean it up. Carry on.
Yes. Miguel Almiron's partner has hinted at a possible move following increasing interest to Al-Shabaab. Almiron's girlfriend, Alexia Noto, has suggested that they have been unsettled by last-minute plan changes. During the break, the couple and their son returned to Paraguay, look to have stayed while other United players returned to training. Our days in Paraguay were cut short, Alexia wrote on Instagram alongside a collection of photos, but we enjoyed it too much. And for those of you who wish to follow Miguel Almiron's girlfriend on the IG, I'm going to go ahead and post the article in the Twitch pitch so you can follow along accordingly. And there is a photo of Alexia, several photos where she's looking at Miggy and they're having fun with their child and parents and such. 21 million pound signing from Atlanta United, turns 30 next month. Kieran Trippier's learned to a third bid. Right now, Bayern Munich looks like it's 12.8. Callum Wilson's having the tires kicked by Atletico Madrid and AC Milan. And so if you believe, if you want to take tea leaves and try to come up with a math problem, Miggy's significant other is saying that trips got cut short. So could something be happening? I do not know, but it looks like Newcastle might be going to Club Brugge and 18-year-old Antonio Nusa as a direct replacement for Almiron if he goes to Al-Shabaab. So, it looks like it's getting closer and closer and closer and closer. But, Jarrett, when it comes to these sell-ons and the pass that you have, it helps you with your stuff, even if it doesn't help you with your AM, basically.
Yeah, a lot of this has to do with the fact that MLS has convoluted ass rules about money.
Why, yes.
That they continue to like do the gap thing, like we do with tax law in this country, where like we have a thing that's confusing. Should we unconfuse it? No, make something more confusing on top of it to try and counter it.
Mm-hmm.
You end up with like quadruple negatives.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the money goes to, and I might be mistaken, so please.
I think the league gets a cut, and then Atlanta United would retain the rest.
Yeah, and it's not like a direct, like you just inject that straight into transfers, and it doesn't like raise your cap beyond the limit or anything like that. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of
dumb.
Yeah, your daily revenue sources that you can use and invest and flip into other assets. So, like if you wanted to grab Gio Reyna, then you could take those funds that are left over from the league getting their cut, and you could sit there and go, well, yeah, I want Gio Reyna, and here's the money. Basically, you're taking one transaction, taking that money, depositing it, and then you're sitting there going, okay, how much do we have in the bank? Well, we've got like seven more. We have $7 more million than we did before, and then we can take that and invest it and try to find somebody else. So it's basically day-to-day operations money.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's better than nothing. And I think Tom mentioned as well. Like, yeah, you also got one, by the way, from Brandon Vasquez.
Yeah,
so,
that was like a lump sum. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, it's a good day of business. Hey, man, like, it's the same thing we talked about before. It's, as I have to jump off in a second, but it's like, man, good luck in Saudi Arabia if that's what you do, because it seems like it's a short-time option for a lot of people. People go, they do not care for it, they leave, but you get a lot of money in the time being, and it seems like SOs aren't really thrilled about it at all either. Yeah, Tom mentioning, some family members are like living in Bahrain, which is just, yeah, it would be easier.
It would be.
Chicharito.
Oh, officially official. So he gets to go hang out with Cade Cowell, apparently.
Yep. What a weird era that was for the LA Galaxy. We'll have to like unpack that later.
Mm-hmm.
The LA Galaxy era of Chicharito, of like we did like a whole will he won't he thing, like Jim and Pam on The Office for years about that dude coming to MLS. He comes, has some good moments.
He was more injured than he was anything else.
Yeah, That sucks. Isn't able to stay healthy, and then he's off again to Chivas. So,
Yeah.
eh.
Yeah, so officially official with a very fancy, looks like a very fancy and slickly produced minute and 53-second video. He wanders in, and apparently he sits in a chair with his back to the camera, and he's wearing a hoodie. Well, there you go. That's how it starts. It's a minute 53. If you wish to go look at it, you can. So there you go. So Jarrett, you are stuck doing real world things on Thursday, correct?
Correct.
So this is Jared having to actually go into work and into the office, and he's stuck there today, and then he's stuck in a location where everybody has to kind of put your cell phones in a pile, and you can't reference anything, and you're kind of stuck. So that's his Thursday. So all that fun is paired with Jarrett right now. And so, Jarrett, we wish you nothing but the best. We wish you nothing but safety, and may the next day and a half be something that goes quickly, sir, for your own personal mental health and benefit.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather be scraping the barnacles off the underside of the boat, like Alex talked about.
Yeah.
And if we actually play this week, Alex, you can get on my shoulders, and we can just like make one giant human on the mini pitch.
Wow.
No, I don't have jury duty, unfortunately. That actually would actually might be more interesting.
Yeah, JC. Now, Dell,
we have work days.
Yeah, it's like actual work, like real world stuff. So, yeah. So Jared
like
is
all-day meetings kind of things. So
yes, exactly. Yeah. So if Jared had jury duty, I mean, by noon the first day he could be done, but he would have had to have already reported today if he had jury duty today, and report it like 8 a.m. tomorrow. And if he just said, well, I firmly believe in this, and this, and just annoy the daylights out of the defense attorney, then he'd be out the door. I firmly believe in crushing people with trees. Those in an open square. That would get him absolutely kicked out, and he wouldn't have to worry about jury duty. No, yeah, no, it is real world stuff for Jarrett. So he will be back with us on Friday, and we will discuss what's on his mind as we go into the weekend. Get you ready for Atlanta and Birmingham. You, sir, you did the Irish goodbye. So there you go. Jarrett does the Irish goodbye, and we'll go from there. Since it's already been put in the timeline, let's see, Emilio, since we deem that league questionable, will there be a day when teams follow suit with disdain and just not deal with the league? Don't know. But remember, you're talking about with Newcastle specifically, Emilio, you're dealing with a club that is tied to the PIF, to the Public Investment Fund anyway. Al-Shabaab, the club that is associated with this possible transaction, is not, but you end up with you're trying to do your boy a solid, basically. Yeah, so let's deal back to Saudi Arabia and the league that we neither condone nor endorse nor promote on a daily basis with their matches on television, although we do have a note on Karim Benzema. But yeah, literally with that league, you're doing your boy a solid. And if they're going to pay top dollar to help you defray your costs when it comes to FFP, you're going to do it. I mean, think of it this way. It's almost like when we were talking about the Chinese Pro League and how they're throwing money at everybody, bringing in things, and then 4 years later, they basically had to disband the damn thing because it was so poorly managed. I don't quite think that this is going to be the same thing, considering they've already said that they're going to be adding more foreign-born players to the mix, expanding roster size or roster availability to foreign-born players, more injections of capital. 10 to the left of the decimal place was the number that I heard coming up in the summer. And right now, you will always have folks who are always tied to that league that will always go for the payday. Because if they themselves are in violation of FFP, then they're going to have to go someplace to try to tilt those margins. And the easiest place to go right now is that particular country with that league that we neither condone nor endorse nor promote. So that's that's where we are there. So yeah, so Chicharito is officially official to Chivas. He is heading back. You wish him nothing but the best and success, because it was a lot of injuries at LAG, and all of those things that he tried to do to try to have the Galaxy on his shoulders, and he ended up with a lot of injuries. But heads back to Chivas, gets to hang out with Cade Cowell, and we'll see where Chivas goes from here. Since it was put in Dell with the update on Anthony Martial, 10 weeks after undergoing surgery on the groin. That just sounds painful. Since Tom mentioned it, we may just go ahead and put it to the front of the line here. Like I said, we got stuff to talk about, and a lot of it is international. And like I said, I want to discuss what Alexander Sefrin said about Manchester City and all the stuff with AFCON. And like, there's a lot of hit and miss stuff. And I also do want to get into the World Cup 26 thing with Dallas, and where it looks like, according to the media over on the other side of the Atlantic, that Dallas is going to get the final, and we'll see what happens from there. But Sportico has released the valuations for 2024 for Major League Soccer. And we'll get Dylan Butler to talk about this in addition to anything else on his mind coming up at the top of the hour. So, and also official Nico Giacchini to Como. So that is also officially official as well this morning. Sportico has the evaluations out for Major League Soccer. And who's the most valued club in Major League Soccer right now? And you've got you have your top group, and with MLS leading everything, with their Leagues Cup and everything. I'm trying to get into my Sportico account. And Messi pushes the headline from Kurt Badenhausen, basically MLS team valuations. Messi pushes the average value of a franchise towards $700 million. Not necessarily a surprise that this would go down like this. And you end up with 4 teams now that are north or at or are north of $1 billion. And one of those is Atlanta United. So, that's really cool stuff involving Major League Soccer and valuations. But right now, the top 10 that's a part of their list, and the top 10 had increases in value all above 15%. So LAFC is now on top of the board. LAFC had cracked $1 billion a while ago when it came to valuation, and now they are, according to Sportico, worth $1.15 billion. Their 1 year value change is up 28%. And you end up with them now once again at the top of the list. But number two is Atlanta United. Number 2 right now, according to Sportico, is Atlanta United. We can go back and look at Forbes and kind of cross-reference who was where and who was what when it came to valuations and discuss increases and those kinds of things. But right now, Atlanta United up 1 spot. I feel like Casey Kasem. Up 1 spot to number 2 at $1.05 billion. And this would be about the time of year when Forbes comes up with their valuation. And last year, once again, LAFC was at number 1. And this is where we always discuss things. Be interesting to know what their bottom 10 are. LAFC, according to Forbes, last year was at $1 billion. They're up to 1.15. But like I said, I'm kind of mixing the streams here. So Atlanta United up 1 to number 2 at $1.05 billion, up 23%. Shocking no one, number 3 is Inter Miami. Inter Miami up 74% in year-to-year change. Year-to-year change. Now they're up to $1.02 billion. They're up 7 spots. They're number 3 in the charts this year. Number 4, the LA Galaxy, down 2 spots to $1 billion on the nose, but that valuation is still up according to Sportico, up 16%. Number 5, NYCFC, up 22% to $840 million. NYC had an awful season. An awful season. And they're up to $840 million. Awful off the pitch. And by the way, we get to catch up with Dylan Butler and find out what's going on with Dylan Butler Estates, because they actually do have the pictures up now as they're trying to start building the new stadium that they're in Queens. Number 6 is Austin FC, which I find very, very interesting. They're up 27%, up 3 spots to number 6 this year in the charts. And they're up to $800 million. And that means that folks have to drop, obviously. Seattle down 3 to number 7, $795 million, but their one-year value change also went up 10%. Toronto FC down 3 to number 8 to $725 million. They still increased 3%, and they were god-awful. DC United down 3 to number 9 to $720 million. They're up 3%. And then the Timbers at $715, up 4%, down 2. And according to Sportico, what they include in their numbers, 29 of the teams are worth $19.7 billion, including real estate and team-related businesses held by owners such as NWSL clubs. So what Sportico has done, yet Forbes did not, they are looking at things complete with real estate and property and investments and sidecars and all this kind of stuff. So that's where Sportico is probably different than Forbes. Although LAFC continues to be top dog, having gained 28% of value change according to Sportico, and that is interesting and intriguing in and of itself, where their rankings, LAFC, Atlanta United, Messi and Friends, LAG, NYC, and I'm guessing what they are doing is part of NYC is including Dylan Butler Estates in the build now. Austin, Seattle, Toronto, DC, Portland. That's their top 10. What I would love to see, frankly, like I said, I want to see the bottom 10. I want to see everything from 11 beyond. I want to see 11 and beyond in their valuations. Thank you, Alex. Excellent work. Hope, Alex, please tell me that you did not just subscribe to Sportico just for the just to look at the bottom part of the list. But Alex, doing the work of the show, adding to his producer credits here. So the bottom grouping: Quakes, Houston, Chicago, Dallas, RSL, Orlando, the Revs, Vancouver, Colorado, Montreal. No real surprises in all of that. So that's where we are. We'll circle back to that. But since all of you folks are doing the fantastic work of producers here, letting us know, all right, okay, so it looks like, according to our friends at Transfer News Live, the deadline day folks who are tied to a lot of different things, Fabrizio Romano, it's like Maddie's on it and Tom is on it. We're all thinking the same things. So it looks like, and this is what we had talked about a couple days ago, Atletico Madrid is now, looks like, according to Fabrizio Romano, going to pay a $500,000 loan fee to get Moise Kean on loan from Juve. And we talked about Moise Kean needing a fresh start from Juve. Nick came on and talked about that specifically. So it looks like 500,000 euros to sign Moise Kean on loan from Juve. According to Fabrizio Romano, they're going to cover his salary. The deal is just waiting for the final green light. So that puts, at least in this connection that we were talking about, with the same representation. And remember how this deal was supposed to work. Correa if he's going to the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. He was heading that direction. He was heading to the Middle East. Then the idea was to spend the boatload of money to bring in Thiago Almada, and Thiago Almada would be the Correa roster substitute. I'm not going to say Correa replacement, but it was going to be the roster swap in spot. Was going to be they would buy Almada from Atlanta United. Correa goes to the Middle East. That would be your substitute. But now, according to Fabrizio Romano, that is not looking like it's the case. It looks like Moise Kean on a loan, 500,000 euro compared to 25 million. You can see why Atleti would do that. So they'd be spending a boatload less, like 95% less. So if we could get Moise Kean on loan for 500,000 versus having to shell out 22 to 25 million with a sell-on fee, then we'll do that. And so that's what they're doing. It looks like, according to Fabrizio Romano, that is what they're doing. And so, but once again, Alex, fantastic work by you on the bottom 10. So we know the top 10, we know the bottom 10, and everybody else pretty much is still in the middle. But still, fantastic work, Alex, and thanks for dropping the bottom 10 into that discussion. But it looks like now, according to stuff, and by stuff we mean Fabrizio Romano, it looks like the Thiago Almada part of this equation is not going to happen in its earlier form. So that's so early on right now. Thiago Almada still part of Atlanta United. That and you know that Atlanta United will chase a if Thiago Almada is interested in going to Europe, they're going to do the man a solid, try to get him to Europe. But obviously, they're not going to just sell him short and sit there and go, yeah, we'll take $12. No, not going to happen. But apparently, as of right now, as to the machinations that we understood, Correa to the Middle East, spot open. Thiago Almada thought of to be in that spot because the representation was the same for Correa and Almada, but now it looks like Moise Kean on loan from Juve for €500,000 and paying the salary and those kinds of things. So a definite economic move to fill that spot if these pieces come together, as we're told by Fabrizio Romano this morning. So we will keep an eye on that. Abby asking about Thursday. And reminder, for those of you who are anywhere near the Topgolf Northwest Atlanta, be a part of the fundraiser helping out Mini Pitch on the Southern Crest and our friends from Georgia Revolution, spearheading all of that. Atlanta Soccer Tonight is going to be there. Jason's going to be there. Jarrett's going to be there. I'm going to be there. 92.9 The Game is going to be there. And I imagine, Abby, you could. Abby's question. So my Thursday's now cleared of any meetings. Anyone have a spot for one at the fundraiser on Thursday? Abby, honestly, sign up. Just go ahead and sign up. If you want to play, sign up. I'm sure that they can. Teams might be a loose construct. So if you want to play, play. And honestly, I was thinking of the same thing that you were. Make a donation, show up, and enjoy. Honestly, that's what I was thinking. I think, honestly, I still may have my driver there from the last time I was there. So that might be my main thing. Signing up just to enjoy it, making the contribution, being there, and enjoying everybody else and making fun of everyone else. But I think Jarrett's probably going to get me to play. I think, Abby, your B option, there is a possibility if you just show up, hey, I just want to contribute, and then you can contribute. Or shoot, just sign up and don't play. Something like that. But, once again, Topgolf, Northwest Atlanta, in the Chattahoochee Industrial District, that we're going to be there and helping out the great cause of the Mini Pitch down there in the Southern Crescent and our friends from Georgia Revolution. If you don't know the details, go to Jason's Facebook page, Jason Longshore, Atlanta Soccer Tonight, 92.9, all those kinds of places. Jason's Facebook page, The Flood Project, all those kinds of spots. Have all the info you need, and you can join. You can swing a club. You can not swing a club. You can heckle others who are swinging clubs, that kind of a thing. So there's Abby. There's got to be a way for both you and I to sit there and go, yeah, we can enjoy ourselves. We might swing. But honestly, teams might be a loose construct. Wouldn't worry about it. Thank you, Abby. Abby just posted the link in the Twitch pitch. SCSoccerFoundation.com. Go into the events, and there you go. So Abby's doing all the digging. Abby's doing all the digging this morning. Amelia, does Amada's agent in Boca explain it to Tiago what happened and why it didn't work out? Well, absolutely. You're always in constant conversation with everybody. I mean, first and foremost, it would be a conversation from Atleti. Diego Simeone, to me, would have to pick up the phone and go, so, dude, this is what happened. It was purely economical, and we can bring in somebody from Italy who it's economics. $500,000 versus, 22 to 25 million. It's economics. And Tiago has to understand that, and I'm sure he does. So I don't think it's anything that the front office at Atlanta United has to explain. Atlanta United is doing their due diligence. They're saying, it's like, look, we want you to go. We want you to have a fantastic next step in your career, and we have this window open with you for Atletico Madrid. Obviously, Tiago would be fantastically excited about that stuff, but it's Atletico's decision if these pieces fall together, Correa over, Moise Kean in. That's their decision. So it would be up to Atletico Madrid to sit there and ring up Tiago on the phone and go, sorry, man. It's economics, or we could bring in someone for a loan at $500,000 versus, we'd love to have you. I mean, think of it in the corporate world. You're up for a job and you're one of the finalists, and then you don't get it. So it's up to the place where you'd like to be employed for them to reach out to you and sit there and go, it just didn't happen. Sorry. We'd love for you to be a part of our business one day. Don't lose our number, that kind of a thing. So no, this is strictly Atletico Madrid going, sorry, we went with the cheaper option here. And look, I mean, seriously, 500,000 euro versus 22 to 25 million euro. I mean, seriously, if you think about it that way, I get it. And so, does it stink if you're Tiago? Absolutely. But then once again, if you're Atlanta United, you sit there and you're like, okay, we know you're going to be a professional about it. We're not going to just leave you hanging. If the other teams want to come knocking on our door, it might be in the summer, or it might be after this season. So we'll see. But no, this is on Atleti and Diego Simeone to pick up the phone and go, sorry, man. So that's what you're staring at. Abby, by the way, with an Abstermobile update. Apparently negotiations with the dealer in the south part of town went south. Going to wait for the vehicle to show up in the northwest part of town where the dealer is going to give you a deal. So it might be a while. Toyota does not order. They put in wish lists and dealer hopes to get it. Maybe a few months. So the current Abstermobile, over 342,000 miles. Mazel tov to the Abstermobile, by the way. And speaking of which, the Abstermobile is going to be helping us out in the local deliveries of our Marshall Islands fundraiser. Should be showing up on the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website and all their social media in short order. These are here locally, once again, 32 in shipping. But if you hook up with the Abstermobile, then the Abstermobile takes care of shipping, and we take care of the Abstermobile. So once again, this is our Marshall Islands fundraiser to help out the last country on the planet that does not have a national football team. So we caught up with Justin Wally earlier this week. He's in Majuro helping out things, and they're having their first ever futsal cup coming up this weekend and next weekend. But once again, the Marshall Islands scarves, they are available. They're 32 because it's 25 pounds. It's the same price as the bucket hat. For those of you that bought the jersey and or the bucket hat, same price as the bucket hat. 25 pounds, $32 US, and 32, and then Abby takes care of making sure that it gets to you if you are local. Yeah, Abby, in the Marshall Islands, there's video because they had some weather recently, and the waves were so big they actually went in the front door of a U.S. military installation, and that's the video that you probably saw, was the waves going in through the front door, blowing the front door off its hinges, and going into and flooding the facility. So that was what you saw probably with the the Marshall Islands. Yeah, that was some scary stuff wherever it was posted. I can't remember if it was on the 280 character app or if it was on the IG. I'm trying to see if there's anything else on the board that's on you guys' mind, because once again, as we say, it's a Wall Pass Wednesday, so anything is on the table. Tom said saw something that Marseille might be stepping in at the last minute for Gio. My first question is, does Marseille have a connection to Jorge Mendes? Because like we said, Jorge Mendes has ties to Evangelinas Marinakis, the owner of Nottingham Forest. Like, he helped him get Rio Ave. He's been in his hip pocket trying to get him players and ties to other teams and things like that. So Jorge Mendes and Evangelinas Marinakis, they're hanging out together. They're breaking bread. And so Mendes is trying to steer a lot of his folks to Marinakis clubs. So if Marseille is tied to Jorge Mendes, then I would say that's a possibility. Dell's saying it'd be good to have Matt Turner there to help him, maybe. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Mendes basically each and every time, show me the money. I need that drop, by the way. And Dell says he's 45 and he still hasn't matured. Dell, I'm north of 45 and I haven't matured either. It's what I tell folks is it's about growing older, not growing up. So no, I'm north of you. I'm north of you and Alex. And maybe Serginho Dest will sometime too. Tom, the sell-on fees are helping to upgrade the fixtures in the head on Arthur's yacht. That all MLS rules apparently allow. Absolutely. Like I said, Abby, check with Bart's threesome. The three Bart can't make it, so I think he had 3 other individuals who were interested in going. So once again, check with Bart and see if that 3, and if they're not, get them over there. If they double clutched on the idea because Bart wasn't going, and if you're going to the fundraiser on Thursday, see if you can get the 3 of them to come to the fundraiser and you guys could be a team. But like I said, I think teams are going to be just loose constructs anyway. All right. Hutch, a couple months in Saudi Arabia will take the smile off Miggy's face. Well, yeah, and Karim Benzema, by the way, apparently he is a little less than pleased about what's been going on with all of the words that he is unhappy with his time at Al Ittihad. According to the 3-letter paper, once again, take the information at your own peril. He's apparently unhappy and has asked to leave, but once again, he's making £86 million a year. Might be a bit of a stumbling block. But then Benzema came out publicly and said that there's nothing to it and that the French newspapers have nothing better to do with their time. I'm absolutely happy here. So anything is possible there. Maddie, who's on the 1s and 2s this morning, also has let us know about Foamgate and someone actually did the investigating about how many times the ball has been moved in a free kick situation. So we'll get into that a little later on too. So let's see. Abby's going. Just make a donation. Don't have to pay for a slot. Money to the cause. Bring clubs just in case. Absolutely. Yeah, and true, Dell. Bart might have to be reffing MLS matches, so he might be a little busy. But still, I mean, it's still preseason, and so we'll see what happens in the preseason with all of these officials. But remember, they only have a week. They've got a week to figure it out. They have a week to figure this all out before they end up going on strike, allegedly work stoppage strike, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah. Oh, it's going to be interesting coming up in the next week to 10 days and all of this. Abby did not see the post by the Cooligans about the Messi fee for MLS tickets. But she says, hilarious, but it also makes you think. I'm gonna dial up the that particular. I'm guessing it was something that they put on the 280 character app. But honestly, you cannot be surprised. You cannot be surprised by something like this. You legitimately can't. And you're looking at like legitimate prices. I mean, it's supply and demand. It literally is supply and demand. And if you think that you are going to end up getting, X number of dollars in addition to what's going on. Look, I know that we got into this initially when Arrowhead, GEHA, whatever they call it, decided to send the Sporting Kansas City match to there as opposed to I saw the quick post. I just saw the quick posting on the 280 character app where they were talking about it. Okay, so Dell and Maddie sent me the same thing when it came to Foamgate. We'll get into Foamgate. All I have to say really is this: when it comes to folks and Maddie and Dell, I love you both. You both found it and sent it to me. You both did. It's like I'm dealing with like 9 different columns of information. When Inter Miami is coming to town, I mean, you're going to try to maximize the financials. You're going to try to maximize the financials. And it's going to be supply and demand. But that's the beauty of the secondary ticket market. Right now, tickets apparently are like $350. That's no different than it is when you're going to go see them in Fort Lauderdale. Absolutely no different than you're going to go see them in Fort Lauderdale. But you're going to have, I mean, legitimately, you're going to be in places where they're going to say no. LAFC, they want to have the Cauldron. They want to have the 3252 there. They may just jack up the price of the ticket. Other markets like Sporting Kansas City, they're going to move it to the football stadium. But what that also does is that gives everybody around the planet the chance to sit there and see what the environment will be like for something in, say, 2026 or a friendly or what have you. I get that. If a team like Kansas City wants to sit there and go, we're going to jack up the prices, that's on them. And it's on us not to go. If you want to get a nosebleed seat, all right, so tell you what, let's, as we say, let's workshop this. Ticketmaster right now. Let's go to Ticketmaster and let's look up Sporting Kansas City. So Sporting Kansas City, 32 events. All right, so Sporting Kansas City, 32 events. March. Okay, so right now, April 13th, Sporting Kansas City and Inter Miami, GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. All right, clicking on the deal. Right now, well, that's not bad. I mean, okay, so to get in price right now, end zones, 300 levels, $115. That's not bad. I mean, if you sold the entire upper tank for something reasonable, then look. I mean, right now, $115 upper tank to see something at Arrowhead. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. If you go from the end zones and you work your way around to alongside the sidelines, if you want to be at the 50 in the upper deck, it's $225. Like I said, this is secondary market or standard tickets, not quite secondary market yet. But $225 to get you at the 50s from the upper deck, $115 to get you into the end zones. Okay, so 200 level. 200 level in the end zones, $450. 200 level along the sidelines, $600. Okay, fine, whatever. That's on y'all. South stand, general admission end zone, south stand is $235. Supporters section is $225. So literally, if you're in supporters and you want to stand in the general admission section, it's $225. Lower level, end zoney kind of things, not general admission, $575, $450, $375, $300. I mean, $300, you're in the 103s. $400 to be at the 50, $225 350, 475, 370. I'm literally clicking section by section. 650 to be at the 50 on the lower level. 300, 325, 3,000. They better do my lunch and my dinner for $3,000. But legitimate, and this is the other thing. Emilio and Abby both. Match congestion doesn't guarantee Messi's presence. There is risk and no guarantee Messi will play. Abby is correct. Emilio is correct. We all have made this point. But as of right now, it's a standard week. April 13th is a Saturday. Sporting plays on the 7th and the 20th. Looking at Inter Miami's schedule. If you look at their schedule, let's take a peek and see if there's anything surrounding them in multiple competitions on the 7th and the 20th of April. And the answer is no. At the moment, as things are posted, Miami, Messi and friends at Jiha, at Arrowhead, you're in a week between games. So, legitimately, if you want to drop that dime, and Hutch says he's got season pass, he's going to watch it on TV. You will not be the only one, but that is also what they're banking on. Alex, remembering the Mercedes-Benz match last year. Remember standing in line for food, listening to the people behind me talking about how they flew into Atlanta just to see Messi. My wife turned to me and gave me the who's going to tell him face. Yeah. But everybody's, look, it is all part of assumed risk. When you buy a house attached to a golf course, somebody's going to have that pull hook or somebody's going to have that nasty slice, and it's your windows are the ones that are going to get busted. But you wanted the house on the 7th fairway at Insert Golf Club here. That's what you wanted. And I mean, Dell and Abby, absolutely true. They want to see Messi play one time live. They want to see him play one time live. I get that. Completely and totally get it. Yeah, yeah, I did say house. I did say house. But the bottom line is this. Clubs are going to set their price points knowing that it's Messi, Suarez, Alba, Busquets, whomever else. They set the value for that match because it's Messi and friends. It's up to you if you want to be the casual individual dropping in to see this match and you're not a season ticket holder, and understanding once again that as a season ticket holder, you're going to take your lumps on that particular match as a part of your deal. But if you're the casual and you want to drop into that environment, you want to parachute in, like I said, you want to get in the building, you can drop $115 and you can be in the end zone. But once again, and with schedule being what it is, I would say, but keep an eye on injuries, that it's assumed risk. It is absolutely assumed risk. And if ticket sales at Jiha or any place else for that matter, let's see who else has expanded. We know that MBS is going to expand. It's going to be a full house. So out of the friendlies, LAG is going to have it at Dignity Health Sports Park. DC is going to have it at Audi Field. Red Bull Arena is going to have it for Red Bulls. Arrowhead's going to have it for Sporting. Gillette, they might actually have a reason to open the upper deck. Stade Saputo, Exploria, BC Place, they think they're going to open the upper deck there. Subaru Park, Geodis. See, now that might be one that you try and find tickets for. Bank of America, you know they're going to open the upper deck. TQL. Soldier Field's where they already play in Chicago. They're going to be at Yankee Stadium for the NYC game in September. Lower.com, and BMO. So there's only 3 instances, I think, where you're going to have places to see Messi and friends that are going to be in these expanded venues. Arrowhead, Upper Deck at Gillette, Upper Deck at Bank of America, and Upper Deck BC Place, Upper Deck here. So 5. But they're already prepared for football stadiums. The only one that has shifted in this entire conversation is Sporting. And they moved it from Children's Mercy Park to Arrowhead. Children's Mercy Park to Arrowhead. That is the only one. And Maddie doing the digging on the 1s and 2s. Get-in price right now for Atlanta and Messi and friends in September to get in the building is $275 if you're not a season ticket holder. Not a surprise. But once again, that's up to you, and that's also in schedule compression. And if the demand isn't there, the prices would not be set at this number, these numbers in these venues. If he's not going to play, numbers will decrease. If there is no demand, outright numbers will decrease. And yes, it is a bit of a waiting game. Do you wait, get your tickets now, wait, or do you wait and see what happens and then hedge a bet, later on? Completely and totally. Completely and totally. But it is assumed risk by Sporting. It's assumed risk that they want folks to come on the door. Lowest price for the get-in for the opening match is $23. Not a surprise. So, you're going to see this. You're going to see it. Okay, we'll keep an eye on this. Now we know possibly why Caleb Wiley is back early. Evaluated for a possible injury he picked up with the national team, very likely a minor issue, not in training today from our friends at Five Stripe Final. So we'll keep an eye on that. But allegedly, probably minor. And so we'll keep an eye on the Caleb Wiley situation. Yes, Abby, beneficial to belong in a supporters group, better pricing. Join a supporters group if you can. Just for the togetherness. The boss joined a supporters group. She's been a part of a supporters group for the last couple of years. She loves the experience. Gets to hang out with friends, gets to hang out and make new friends, gets to introduce what's going on in the sport to her friends that may not know. So yeah, if joining a supporters group is something that's on your bucket list, do so. Abby says ISC has shared visiting supporter ticket policy was piloted during the playoffs, continuing during the 24 season. So they're going to keep an eye on who is abiding by the policy. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Yep. Minor injury, can't afford for him to be injured. Yeah. So that odds are that Caleb will probably make the trip to Birmingham this weekend, but probably not going to be in a position to be out there and running on Saturday against Birmingham Legion. Rich doing the public service. Morning, Joe Boss. Lowest ticket for Miami to come to Chester, StubHub 204. No guarantee he'll be there since it's 5 days before Copa America. Correct. So once again, it's assumed risk in these situations. Look at your schedules. Keep an eye on your teams. And then maybe jump in at the last. If there is a change, jump in at the last. But once again, there's the risk that's attached to all that stuff. So top of the hour. Thanks for hanging out with us. And since it is the top of the hour on a Wednesday, it is time to bring in our buddy Dylan Butler, who Dylan, by the way, has been able to see. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Dylan, first off, hi, welcome back. Are they, if I'm not mistaken, they're building Dylan Butler Estates, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see it from out here in Suffolk County, but yeah, I think all systems appear to be go.
So, how is it? I mean, right now, obviously, it's just a bunch of tall pieces of metal being stuck into the air with no connections to one another. But to finally have all of this finally happening, where you could have NYCFC with a permanent fixed location and not having to go to either Hartford or St. John's or Yankee Stadium or City Field. I mean, just as long as everything keeps right on going, we're getting closer to the day where NYC is locked into one place that actually might be an undersized soccer stadium.
And you know what's gonna be cool too, John, is that when they play their portion of their schedule this year at City Field, like you'll be able to see it, right? Like it's right next door, so fans can see the different things that are being built and the different stages that it is in. So, however, maybe it's my New York jadedness, but for me, there is no celebrating anything. There's no champagne popped until you walk into the building and the match is being played. So
Understood.
There's too much involving construction and the city and potential delays. However, I will say the fact that it's privately funded, I'm pretty confident that as long as there's no additional red tape, which is a big if,
Yes.
I think they'll get it done earlier than projected. Because there's always there's always these caveats, these bonuses put in. Hey, listen, you guys get this job done ahead of schedule. You get X 6-7 figure bonus, right? So I would suspect that's probably in the cards. I'd imagine they'd love to. It's at this point maybe not possible, but I think in a perfect world they'd love to have something up by World Cup, so it could be like a training facility. So
yes. Couple of other things. I know that we've got to get into the Newcastle situation.
And by the way, sorry, going back for a second, like I hope you get a chance, and perhaps I will host you for this. But like, dude, the food tour that we can go on in Queens, man, like the authentic Colombian, Mexican, even down like not only maybe 2 miles away, there's these Himalayan momos.
Wow.
They're like dumplings. They're tremendous food trucks, like the culinary Argentine steakhouse. Like, John, I got you, buddy.
Oh. See, now when Jason and Mike are up there before me, you definitely have to take them on this tour, because Mike is a massive foodie, and Jason is of the same ilk. So
there's a great Peruvian chicken place not too far.
I mean, yeah, you honestly, legitimately have made. Well, I mean, I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm gassed up.
Neither have I, right?
but no doubt, you really could do the tour of tours with Mike and Jason before everybody comes up. A couple of things I know that we need to talk about. We need to talk about Newcastle and FFP and Miguel Almiron and everybody on the outs and everybody being sold just to make up for FFP. But did you see the valuations for from Sportico come out for the new MLS rankings of who's the most valued franchise in the league? Did you see that come out this morning?
I did not. I'm trying to remember if I saw the previous one. I mean, I think LAFC was up there previously, but I wanted to Miami jump them.
Yeah, Miami. Well, Miami did a big jump. LAFC is still number one.
Okay.
You now have 4 teams that are, according to Sportico, and we're probably 2 weeks away from the Forbes valuation coming out. But now 4 teams are worth $1 billion. Inter Miami is one of those. Messi and friends had, according to Sportico, a 70+% jump in value to go north of $1 billion.
And that's without even their own stadium.
Yes. And they included other assets like real estate and things like that as a part of all of the valuation in general. And LAFC is still number one. They've boosted, and the
Really,
top
how did you not do it? Do the one when you said $1 billion? How did you not do that in your Doctor Evil voice?
what? Well, then I would have had to have gone $1 million. And you'd sit there and you go billion. But you end up with LAFC at number one. The top 6 teams on this list all had a net increase of over 15% worth year to year. Atlanta United is number 2. They're like 1.1 or something like that, 1.05. Then it was Inter Miami, Messi and friends at 3, and LAG still at number 4 at $1 billion.
Sure.
So you now have 4 teams with their assets, with their real estate, with their holdings, with other subsequent clubs and things like that they're tied to. You now have 4 teams that are worth $1 billion in this league, and that was, last time I checked, not their buy-in price when they wanted to start these adventures.
Yeah.
But Messi and friends jacking up the overall worth of the league by about 30%.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure when the league made this incredibly complicated contract, this was part of what was in mind, right? When you speak to all the owners and all the shareholders, and yeah, I mean that's great, right? For the league overall. So more eyes, more worldwide eyes, more focus means more bucks. But like all those teams you mentioned, obviously, look, they've got their own stadium. They're not having to pay rent, for their stadiums. It'll be interesting, I think, to see where NYCFC falls out when they get their own stadium as well.
They were like $840 million.
Yeah, they'll crack that B, I think, when they get the stadium for sure.
Crack that B. I'll have to remember that. Crack the B. The bottom grouping, and no real surprises, and this is going from the basement up. Montreal was last at 440. Then you had Colorado, Vancouver, the Revs, Orlando, RSL Dallas, Chicago, Houston, and the Quakes. That's your bottom 10 in the league right now. Montreal dead blank and last. Colorado, Vancouver going up from there. The Revs, Orlando, RSL Dallas, Chicago, Houston, and San Jose. No real surprises in that group. I would have thought that maybe the Revs would have been valued a little more because of the facility that they're in, the real estate, et cetera. But they're down. They're like 4th from bottom right now. Shocking to me anyway. That's what happens when you lose the Toby Keith bar.
This is true.
When you lose that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good question. I mean, my first thought was, oh, well, it's not their stadium, but it is their stadium. But it kind of isn't like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how that works out, unless maybe because they're not in like Boston proper.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those clubs you mentioned, right? And even Montreal, like I've been out there. Like it's not, it's a little bit of a trek to, the city, the main part of the city. So I think a lot of those teams you mentioned are on the outskirts. Not Orlando though. That's interesting.
Yeah. So the numbers in the top 10: LAFC up to 1.15, Atlanta United 1.05, Inter Miami, Messi and friends at 1.02, LAG at 1. They all cracked that B. We'll have to remember that. That's going to be our t-shirt.
And by the way, when they get their stadium, Miami, holy smoke.
NYC 5th at 840, up 22%. Austin was the surprise to me. They're up to 6 in Sportico at 800 million, up 27%. Then that means that Seattle went down to 795, Toronto went down to 725, DC United down to 720, and Portland down to number 10 at 715. So that's your.
Where are the Sounders in that? Sorry.
Sounders were 7 at 795, up 10% year to year. Average value of franchises $678 million, up 16%. Total revenue of $2 billion, up 27%. And so that's where you are with your 10 and 29 teams worth a total of 19.7 billion, including real estate and team related businesses held by owners such as NWSL clubs. So that was where,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that was where they kind of threw all that stuff in. We were getting into the whole ticket price deal. And with Messi and Friends and the touring band,
Yes.
it is at Jiha right now, and we were looking at the get-in price at Arrowhead. Get-in price, nosebleed 300 level end zones, 115. But then you get into like the supporters section stuff, the general admission in the end zones, lower levels like 225 to 240. Then there were some that were like $3,000. I guess they do your laundry and give you a bath or something. You get catered lunch and dinner or whatever.
You get Taylor to sing you a song.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that could be a part of it too. But with ticket prices and
Or the Kelsey brothers to take their shirts off and get you some beers.
I don't need that visual. It was bad enough when one of them did it, but now apparently, allegedly, they're going to be getting Chiefs handbags that are like male handbags by Louis Vuitton as gifts from T Swift for all the fun times that she's having.
I love it.
I do too. I mean, look. She's a celebrity girlfriend. She's having fun. I don't care.
I just love how like manly man middle America guy is so uncomfortable with this. Like it's great.
It's like why? It's like why are you uncomfortable? She's a girlfriend. It just so happens she's one of the richest people on the planet.
Yes, but
I don't care.
No,
I literally do not care. And the fact that she got to wear one of Christian Juszczyk's creations and has now created a storm with that. I'd like to have like a Charlie Joyner or a Dan Fouts one. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
I'd dig that. If she would go retro with some of her designs, I would absolutely like it. But with the ticket price thing at Jiha right now, we looked at the schedule, and right now there are 5 venues that are football venues where the NFL team plays and the MLS team plays. There's only one instance right now where a club has decided to switch venues and go from 18,000 to 76,000, and it's at Jiha. And people are getting up in arms about ticket prices for this venue, and I'm going, it's assumed risk.
Yeah.
If you want to drop that B on those kinds of tickets, that's on you. And I mean, we looked at the schedule. The game is it's in a normal part of the schedule. The game at Arrowhead, they play the week before, they'll play a week after. You got to keep an eye on schedule compression, but it's all about supply and demand for me in these cases. It's like, look, if Sporting has set their price point, people will either tell you, yeah, we're interested, or yeah, we're not, by people purchasing the tickets.
100%. No, it's listen, it's all supply and demand. Like, so who cares? Like, if people aren't buying the tickets, then it forces the price to go down. They're not going to play in front of an empty stadium, and guess what? They'll get it, right? Because it'll be, hey, I really wanted to see Messi. All right, well, okay, fine, it's a one-off. We'll spend this money.
Yeah,
I can't fault them. I mean, it's all across try to go to a Broadway show for less than $200, right? Good luck. It be what it be. So.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's why you go to TKTS. Seriously, I mean, if you're looking for a show and you're just wanting to parachute into something, you either go to the theater, camp out, wait for a production hold or things to get turned in, or go to TKTS at like 3:30 in the afternoon and see what's available, and then dive in there. That's the beauty of the secondary ticket market.
See, since this is Wall Pass Wednesday, I'll put this to you. And others. So I'm a New York Rangers fan, right? So they've been good. They're a good team. They'll make the playoffs. my schedule being what it is, like I get to maybe 2 or 3 games in a season, but then I don't even think about the playoffs because the ticket prices are just outrageous, right?
Yeah.
But even now the regular season, like I'm easily spending $125 for a ticket.
Oh,
So I'm thinking like, is it a profitable almost side business to get season tickets?
absolutely.
And then you have them. Again, I would maybe only like it's brutal from where I'm a hour and 15-minute train ride into Manhattan from where I am. So to do that on the regular, like it's crazy. So I would think because of their location in the middle of New York City, because they're good and because tourists will then go to see maybe their team.
Uh-huh.
I do wonder if it's potentially a profitable venture. I mean, obviously, yes. When it gets to the playoffs, it 100% is right. So
Yeah, absolutely. So then this would be a situation where I would imagine you would check the balance on your plastic and purchase the tickets on your credit card. So that way you have a record of it. And if anything goes wrong, it's there. And then you can, pay it off and whittle it down and do whatever. No, I see the value.
what would kill me is
Oh,
you become a day trader, right?
mhm.
Because you're constantly checking, like, all right, what is the row next to me? What is that guy selling his tickets for on
Yeah.
StubHub? Oh, wait a minute. He put his at 150, mine's are at 175. I got to, like,
Yeah.
that would be stressful.
And yeah, you've got to sit there and figure out, okay, what's my margin? Yeah, what can I afford to lose in these situations? Or is it all strictly profit? And if I'm just making 25 or 50 bucks on the Columbus game,
Right.
and then I make $100 a ticket on the Pittsburgh game, is it worth it in the end? Or am I going to the Columbus game? Or am I going, like if Edmonton's on a hot streak like they are now, then the fact that you might have sat on two pairs of a pair of tickets, you might get something there. So no,
Yeah.
it is truly it is truly a day trader's nightmare.
And the
But
funny thing is, I wouldn't base going on the opponent. It's about my availability. Like, it's like,
okay,
they can be playing, the Islanders, but if it's a day I've got a broadcast or something, can't do it.
uh, I absolutely. I see the merit in that. I see the merit in Rangers season tickets. I absolutely do. As a profit making venture. But you don't want James Dolan to sit there and go, excuse me, you only showed up for 3 of your 41 games. It's like he's got his facial recognition technology, and you're
Right.
okay. That's not Dylan Butler. You're not allowed to have your season tickets anymore.
That's a former boss of mine.
Dominus omnis, my friend. Woo.
MSG Varsity and Cablevision and all that.
Uh-huh. Yes. And Emilio says the reselling game is difficult. You will have a hard time making profits.
Yeah, see, Amelia, I kind of feel that. Like, and plus you get, like, I didn't know it from the seller portion, but like these, whether it's Ticketmaster, StubHub, they're hitting you on or I knew it from a buyer perspective. I didn't know that from a seller. Like, they hit you as well as a seller.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. That's they're going to ding you for their little surcharge either way. They're going to get their piece of the action. So you have to sit there and think about their piece of the action in addition to your piece of the action, plus your intended profit margin
Yeah.
for each and every element. God, this is giving me a headache.
I was a business major in college and a minor in communication, but still, this is like, I don't know. I might need to have my retired cousin just like, here, take this over.
Yes. Well, and Hutch reminds us of the convenience fees.
Yeah, it's not very convenient.
It's convenient for Ticketmaster
Yeah.
and the broker, but it ain't for the rest of us having to do the math. What else has been going on last couple of weeks in Major League Soccer that has struck your fancy? Oh, by the way, yesterday we were all up in arms.
Oh, okay.
Um, Messi and friends, they've played their first 2 matches. They've only scored 1 goal. They've lost both of them, and obviously the world's falling apart.
Yeah, they're just going to be horrible this year, clearly,
Suck.
based on because preseason is always a perfect indicator for the regular season.
Yeah, we got into that yesterday. And what does your gut tell you about the referee situation?
Yeah, that's going to be a dicey one, I think. It's I gotta imagine they get something across before, but it's getting late early here, right? Like we're less than a month. Looking at my calendar here, less than a month away from the season. So
Correct. What would it be? What would you could you envision a world where we have substitute officials for a while?
oh my god, no, because listen, uh, even the best. Like I don't know who you would have on your power rankings of MLS officials, but even the best officials are highly scrutinized in MLS. Can you
Elfast.
can you imagine like like you said, substitute officials, substitute VAR as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm like, who would even be in the VAR booth, right? Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you bring in well, I mean, honestly, it might have to be a oh wow. I was gonna say it's like how do you try to figure out, yeah, I mean VAR and AVAR, you might have to scrap your AVARs just because of a lack of personnel. And do you bring in somebody from I mean, I would have said Howard Webb, but he wandered off.
yeah,
Who do you bring in for VAR? I mean, that's a hell of a question.
because even your like USL official, like these are all tied in. It's the same group.
Yeah,
College officials, maybe, I don't know.
that's the thing. You'd have to go to college
But they
because
don't. But they don't do VAR, right? So,
no, yeah, it's like, oh, so what am I looking at here? Can you toggle that back for me? But yeah, who do you get to work the technology? Much less, I mean, who do you get to be VAR? Much less work the technology in the rooms. Do you get
yeah,
some?
there's training involved, and
I
yeah,
mean, but yeah, just but the negotiations, it's like, okay, how about a 3 or a 4% increase? No, 90. Okay, how about 5%? No, 90. Yeah, and you're sitting there go, okay, I see this going well. Uh,
Messi's in the league. Messi's in the league now. Everything goes up.
yes, exactly. Everything does. Any transactions over the last couple of weeks since you haven't been on? Sit there and strike your fancy. Coaches coming in, coaches leaving. Anything strike your fancy?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wrote this story this past week for OSDB Sports.
There you go. There's the plug.
I'm like just about on the Rapids bandwagon. I'm just
Oh.
about there. Like I feel like I'm like one more maybe signing away from being absolutely all in. But every move that they've made has got me excited. Like this is a team or an organization that we rightfully so crushed, right? With not spending and then spending wrongly when they did spend. And
You've spent
um,
poorly.
look, their fan base obviously was up in arms and walked out and protest, and it was at its lowest really last year, and um, they're showing that they will spend, right? When we see the numbers come out from the Players Association, probably mid-season, Mihailovic and Stefan, like they're going to be pretty highly up there. So their wage bill, which was in like the New York Red Bulls area, not the lowest, not anywhere near the highest, obviously, but still bottom third. Will move up, and um, I'm watching them closely. They've been for me in teams in preseason, like they've been to me the most intriguing. Like Atlanta's made moves and smart moves,
Yeah.
but you've expected that from Atlanta. Like like they'll identify the problem, they'll fix it, and they'll be better for it. Like, so that's not a surprise. When you see them, oh, hey, we have a need. Okay, let's fill it. Like, but we didn't really necessarily expect it, right, from Colorado. So that's refreshing to me.
It's like, who is this Colorado, and what have you done with Colorado?
Yeah, right.
It's just, I mean, you look at.
But then again, they lose their preseason opener 3-1, so it's probably not going to be.
Oh yes, everything is done.
Right.
Everything is done. We have nothing left with you. So I mean, literally, it's Omir Fernandez, Sam Vines, Zach Steffen, Georgi Mihailovic, and Jasper Loffelson from RSL. So I mean, you've actually spent some money. Who are you people?
Yeah, right.
Chris Arnold
Now,
walks in the door.
again, you've got Kevin Cabral, which not a good signing there, right? You've got a DP number 9 who doesn't score goals, so as well. So
Strange.
like, I don't know, like you if they could do something with those guys and then swing for a number 9, I think now you're talking.
What the hell's going on with Minnesota?
Oh, they're just hanging out. They're just chilling. They have a nice beer garden at their stadium, so
what in the ever-loving blue hell is going on in Minnesota?
I said, clearly you can't do any business, when you're in England because
you could do it virtually.
There's no, obviously you can't. It's impossible.
God,
it must be the time change.
It has to be. All right. So let me see if I've recapped this right. Okay, so you dismiss Adrian Heath with a couple of matches left in the regular season. You weren't making the playoffs, but you dismissed him anyway. So you have your substitute teacher, your interim, who was the head coach of the Twos. Loons 2 head coach Sean McCauley basically says in January, I'm out. Now you're on your second substitute teacher, which is cool, according to the front office at Minnesota United, and your chief soccer officer, whom you hired in November, has yet to come to this particular. He's yet to come to the colonies. He's still over there. Apparently, he was supposed to show up last week, which is now this week, and he's supposed to meet players and stuff. The guy didn't want to. He wanted to save meeting players until he had a face-to-face opportunity to do it. And that still hasn't happened. And Timu Pukki and Will Trapp have said publicly that they like, to know their teammates and their new boss, maybe.
Like, is this guy, is he a strict 9 to 5 guy? So he's like, you know what? It's like, mate, we can't make it work because in England,
I'm done.
9 o'clock in the morning is
like, bruh, that's like 3 a.m. for y'all. That's when my day starts.
Yeah, we can meet you guys, but it's gonna be 3 a.m.
Yeah, and so then 5 o'clock it's let's see, so it's 11. His work day is 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. local time.
Right.
I've got morning business hours in Minneapolis. I'm in England still waiting for my work visa, which is another thing entirely. It's like you're waiting for your work visa. You have been waiting all this time for it to process. And you're still over there. Yeah, you can do things virtually. And okay. I've got to put them at the bottom of every possible blanking thing. And you also don't have for the second year in a row, your leading scorer. I mean, you re-nicknamed him Reyno Show again for the second year in a row. And I mean, it's like you've got a D mid from Herediano who's in on loan, and your super draft pick who you haven't signed yet.
Although if I'm Reynoso, I'm like, yeah, no, I'll get there as soon as my boss gets there.
It's like he shows up.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah. And then before you go, one more thing. What's up with Newcastle? You still have your all injured starting 11 and your injured starting 11. Miggy looks like he might be heading to the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote.
Good for Atlanta, though.
Yeah, it is 20 to 25% on the sell on. Then Kieran Trippier looks like their offer number 3 from Bayern is on the table, and Callum Wilson might be looked at as well. So it's busy times for you to trim your FFP.
Yeah. Love the FFP. It's so I don't have the time to like. I 100% get FFP, right? I absolutely know that, but like they've got owners that want to spend. Like how I don't know what the formula is to get out from under this. Then, right? Like if you're not, and maybe there isn't one, and maybe this league is just set up for the 4 or 5 clubs that have already been established, right? Like the blue bloods, if you will, right?
Yeah.
The Manchester teams, the Chelsea, Arsenal, maybe Tottenham, to always be there, right? Like how do you challenge that? Like I almost feel like Newcastle should be a major and they're a mid-major,
Mm-hmm.
but now there's shackles on them being able to, like, how do you become a major then?
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you get out of the financial fair play? I mean, I guess again, it's trying to get more sponsors and more advertising dollars and all on that, the Darren Eales side of things, right? But how do you do that when you don't have those same players as those?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the chicken and the egg.
Yes.
Like it's not. It's set up. I think it's set up to fail anybody other than teams who had spent before financial play came about.
Manchester City.
100%.
Who said that? All right. So what's going on? Varsity Media, MLSsoccer.com, OSDB.
Yeah, OSDB. We're I'm kind of working my way obviously to opening weekend or week, I guess, because the first match is on Wednesday. So like I said, this past Monday, took a look at Colorado and how they're attempting a quote. Listen, I'm a dad, so it's I throw the puns in there. So it's the rapid ascent up the West. This week we'll take a look at Columbus. Are they going to run it back? It's so hard in this league of parity. But we'll have that one. Then we'll have a story the following week about Inter Miami. And then we'll preview each conference and we'll get going. Varsity Media got a Sunday afternoon game. And I know that you love your New York City basketball nicknames. We had Boogie Fland,
yes,
before, who made the McDonald's All-American game.
There you go.
This past Saturday, I had a game that was supposed to be Friday, moved to Saturday because of weather. Magic Mel.
Wasn't he a rapper in the 80s?
Yes. So he's reincarnated to be a sophomore guard who dropped 34 points against Christ the King on the road in an overtime win for Cardinal Hayes. So that was fun. And then this Sunday I've got a 4:00 game, St. Peter, St. Francis Prep. Should be a good one in the Catholic high school league, which I still maintain one of the best leagues in the country. So
no doubt. Magic Mel and Cool Mo D. I think they had a
yeah.
I think they had a hit sign.
I saw them at the. I'm sure they were part of that concert I went to at Yankee Stadium that lasted until like 3 a.m.
Yes.
That was crazy.
Yes, and make sure that when you interview Magic Mel that you tell him that you saw him at that concert at Yankee Stadium.
What I did ask him, John, was I said, listen, this was a season high, 34 for you. You're a sophomore. This is a huge performance. When did you feel your shot was going to drop? Like, was it in the pregame warm-ups? He said, no, last week. All right. Love it.
Yes. Soundbite City.
Yes.
You got to hang on with that. I know that we've gone extra time this morning, and the fourth held up the sign, and I went right through it. Thank you, my friend. Have a fantastic week. We'll catch up next time.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, that's Dylan, and Dylan gets to talk stuff, and it's always fun. And Emilio, this is the big question involving what's going on with the Rapids. No one is asking how all these Colorado signings will work with Armas's style, but is Chris Armas going to stick with the Red Bullsian way of doing things and have issues with Zach Steffen, who we know doesn't work well with the ball at his feet? Or is Chris Armas going to adjust to the individuals around that are there in-house? Because I don't quite see Georgi Mihailovic pressing for a full 90 minutes. I think that this might be a loosening of the philosophical ideals of Chris Armas with all the folks that are coming into town. So that's my gut when it comes to Colorado. Yeah, Colorado does seem to go against type, which is strange. It's like you sit there, Mr. Kroenke, Mr. Kroenke, Mr. Kroenke. Can we like, I don't know, spend some money? And spending $3 million on Georgi Mihailovic, for them, that's a big deal. I mean, literally, what? Atlanta United spent twice that on a what? So Stian Gregerson was 2.5, and Sliege, yeah. So literally, they spent the same on Bartosz Sliege. They spent the same amount on Polish Power, Bart Sliege. 3.5. They spent more on Bart Sliege than Colorado did on bringing Georgi Mihailovic back from AZ Alkmaar. So, but yeah, Colorado's spending money. Oh my God, who knew? And speaking of spending money, this was the story that I wanted to get into with y'all, where Alexander Sefrin had an exclusive interview. Oh my God, he talked to the Telegraph exclusively. So he catches up with Ben Rumsby. And here's what Alexander Sefrin said about Manchester City, since we were getting into the whole idea of all of that. Yeah, I know it's Polish. It's Polish. The Polish hammer. I know it's the Polish hammer. Polish Power, Ivan Putski, Polish hammer. Yes, same deal. I think, Emilio, I think he did. I think he spent more on, or it was close. I think it was 2.5. Don't quote me. So Rumsby catches up with Alexander Sefrin. UEFA disciplinary chiefs were right, in quotation marks, about Manchester City breaching its FFP regulations when they threw the club out of the Champions League, its president has said. First public comments about the saga since the PL revealed a date had been set for the hearing of the 115 charges against the treble winners under its own rules. Alexander Sefrin also said he understood mounting angst over how long the case had dragged on. Sefrin refused to be drawn on whether City, who deny any wrongdoing, should be stripped of titles if found guilty by an independent commission, but asked if such a verdict would vindicate that of UEFA's equivalent arm, the Club Financial Control Body, 4 years ago, and the defense of its case at CAS, Court of Arbitration for Sport. He replied, "We know we were right. We wouldn't decide if we didn't think we were right." Sefrin stressed he respected the CAS decision. You have to say that, which overturned City's 2-year European ban after ruling some of the evidence against them was time-barred and that other accusations were unproven, while fining them €10 million for failing to cooperate with investigators, £8.6 million. Basically, QSI was like, yeah, you get changed for a 20. Sefrin. As a trial lawyer for 25 years, I know that sometimes you win a case that you're sure you will lose. And sometimes you lose a case when you're sure. You just simply have to respect, in a serious democracy, the decision of the court. I don't want to speak about the case in England, but I trust that the decision of our independent body was correct. I didn't enter into this decision, end quote. City had already paid UEFA €20 million to settle an FFP case in 2014 when further evidence of wrongdoing emerged that saw a new investigation opened in 2019. Premier League began the investigation of their own that same year into the same accusations, unencumbered by any time bar, according to Rumsby, and the pursuit of City is now into its 5th year. Criticism of the amount of time taken, which has only grown since Everton and Forest were referred to an independent commission. We'll catch up with Forest and Manchester City in a bit with the numbers. After admitting breaching the league's profit and sustainability rules, Sefrin said he could, of course, understand fan frustration. They want to know what's going on and what are the consequences, but I don't want to enter into this concrete process because I don't know what the Premier League is dealing with. I really don't want to criticize or something like that. It wouldn't be fair. City declined to comment, having previously hailed Cass's ruling as a validation of the club's position, expressing surprise at the subsequent Premier League charges against which they said had a comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence. As well as having twice fallen foul of FFP, City could soon find themselves having to comply with new UEFA regulations on multi-club ownership. Sefrin said he wanted restrictions imposed on teams under those regulations to be made more explicit, which could have a major impact on CFG's stake in the leaders currently in La Liga, Girona. I did not have that on the bingo card, by the way. Revealing a meeting on the issue had been held last week, he said he wanted the rules to define clearly what constituted a decisive influence on more than one club. Villa and Brighton, among several teams, cleared to play in Europe after being ordered to cut some of their ties with sister clubs, with bans on intergroup transfers also imposed. Sefrin said the biggest problem with multi-club ownership, CFG owns a little under 50% of Girona, is the one of perception. You know, football, big English club can lose 3-0 to a small Portuguese club if you want because they have a bad day. Imagine if that's the same ownership. You'd say, look, at your competition's fixed. Then you start losing everything. This is my biggest problem, where I don't have a solution. We could always say, okay, you can do it under these and these and these conditions, but full control of two or more is a no-go. That's, for now, my opinion. We didn't come under a concrete solution. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's purchase of 25% of Manchester United could also see them come under scrutiny if both they and Nice, which he also owns, both qualify for Europe. So Alexander Sefrin on his thoughts on the whole idea of Manchester City and their guilt in the FFP. Sefrin also says he doesn't even understand the handball law and VAR should be reduced. That's at the Telegraph. What I'll do is, for the part 2 of the Alexander Sefrin interview, what I will do is I will post that in the Twitch pitch for required reading of the day. And Tom, one of our resident Evertonians, pointless even discussing this, the premise corrupt. End of. He stopped his sentence. He even stopped it. He stopped his sentence before he ran out of capital letters. He went period and stopped. End of discussion. Our friends at The Athletic. Remember Nottingham Forest complained to the PGMOL after Ivan Toney moved the ball. He moved the foam and then moved the ball and then scored, and they lost 3-2. But how often does each Premier League team do it? Investigating Foamgate by watching all of the direct kicks, Jacob Whitehead for The Athletic. Oh, that's how the English. I did not know that, Tom. End of. I thought you were just that mad. Investigated by watching all of this season's direct efforts on goal. How often teams move the ball before taking shots from free kicks. Arsenal, Chelsea, Sheffield United, and Wolves have not moved the ball once in 32 attempts. Nottingham Forest is 1 for 2. Manchester City has 20 free kicks so far this year. They've moved the ball 8 times. So they have moved the ball the most, yet they also have, by 3, the most free kick attempts this season. Bournemouth and Liverpool are tied for third, 3 out of 13. Newcastle's 2 out of 11. Burnley, Luton, and Everton, 6, 7, and 8. They're tied for 6th at 1 out of 6. Fulham, 2 out of 13. Brighton, 2 out of 16. Brentford and Spurs tied for 11th. Crystal Palace, 2 for 17. West Ham, 1 for 10. Villa and Manchester United tied at 15th, 1 out of 11. These are the percentages where they're ranked. And then Arsenal, Chelsea, Sheffield United, and Wolves have not moved the ball once so far this year. So technically, Manchester City has the most free kick attempts, and they've moved it the most number of times. So there you go. 8 out of 20. Where if you were to add Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, and Liverpool, that's 7. That's the rest of your top 4. Manchester City's moved it 8 times in 20 kicks. So Jacob Whitehead doing math this morning with our friends at The Athletic. AFCON has gone, or continues to be just kooky, crazy nuts, by the way. We've had Chris Hughton sacked by Ghana. And also this morning, the Ivory Coast have sacked manager Jean-Louis Gasset, despite the fact the team may yet progress to the last 16 of AFCON. In the middle of the tournament, they've sacked him. It's like, dude still might be doing some work with his club, but Luke Boscher and Nnamdi Onyeguara say that Ivory Coast have sacked Jean-Louis Gasset. The host nation sacks their manager, and they're not even out of the group stages yet. That's how mad they are. By the way, if you haven't seen the Mali jerseys, oh my Lord. South Africa and Tunisia, by the way, is at noon. Zambia, Morocco is at 3. You can catch all of that stuff on the BNs, fntz.co/soccer down here. You can get BNs, Brasileiro, Liga 1 Max, For the Fans, CDO, Goal TV, Teise, all of them. All of them. Go to Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network and helps out Fanati's. Jason got me hooked. I blame them. I blame him. Ivory Coast are on the brink of elimination after 2 consecutive group stage losses to Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea, that 4-0 defeat that we talked about the other day. They can still progress to the knockouts, but they'll have to wait for the group stages to be completed to see if they can qualify as one of the best third-place teams. Statement from the Ivory Coast Football Federation on social media said Gasset and his assistant, Jolaine Printemps, have had their contracts terminated due to insufficient results. Emers Faye, another assistant coach, has taken interim charge of the team while they work to hire a permanent successor to Gasset. Took charge of the side in 22, replacing Patrice Baumel. Frenchman was previously the assistant coach of the men's national team in PSG. Should they qualify, they will face Group B winners Cape Verde or the winner of Group C in the round of 16. Your permutations, by the way, and this is where it could get absolutely crazy. I mean, Mauritania, by the way, beaten Algeria 1-0, got them through to the last 16. At Algeria's expense, it was their first win in the competition. AFCON uses head-to-head as the first tiebreaker to separate teams on points. Group A, Equatorial Guinea has been one of the surprises. Emilio Insu, their captain, scored twice and leads the Golden Boot race. Formerly of Middlesbrough and Birmingham City, he plays in the 3rd tier in Spain. Equatorial Guinea is going to play the 3rd-place team from either C or D. Nigeria is qualified in 2nd. Jose Pissarro looked to all of their attackers, Osimhen, Alex Iwobi, and Samuel Chukwueze. They'll play the runners-up of Group C. Group B, Cape Verde, 7 points, 4 more than Egypt. And that was crazy. Cape Verde will play the 3rd-place team from either Group A or D. Egypt, who will be without Salah for the remainder of the tournament and for up to a month. So Jurgen Klopp is obviously not pleased about that. Salah went home to Liverpool for treatment. We'll get into that in a second. Egypt finished in 2nd. They'll play the runner-up of Group F. Ghana finished 3rd, have been eliminated. Group C, Senegal, light work of Group C. As group winners, they'll face the 3rd-place finisher from Group A or F. Cameroon joined them with the win over the Gambia. It's now the Gambia. It's not just Gambia, but the Gambia. They get Nigeria in the round of 16 on Saturday. Guinea advanced 2 is one of the best thirds. Group D, going into last night, Algeria and Mauritania, but then Mauritania got the win. Beat Riyad Mahrez's Algeria thanks to a first-half goal held on. Angola beats Burkina Faso to get the top spot. Angola faces the third-place team from either E or F. Burkina Faso gets the winner of E. Mauritania gets Cape Verde on Monday. Group E, we know Mali leads the group. South Africa, Tunisia, Namibia, Mali. Mali, the only side guaranteed not to finish bottom. Group F, Morocco have not had it all their way. DR Congo sits second ahead of Tanzania. Regardless of results, Morocco have sealed qualification, 4 points in 2 games. Winners of Group F face Group E. Runner-up, Group F gets Egypt. Third-place team qualifies. They could face either the winner of Group D or C. And there's math. So our friends at The Athletic have all of the math breakdowns as to what's going on over there. So other stuff, men's Olympic qualifying, that started on FS2 yesterday. Paraguay, Uruguay at 3, Peru and Argentina is at 6. Liga MX for your Wall Pass Wednesday is at 10 o'clock, Juarez and America. Fox Deportes is your simulcaster. Gold TV has the Dutch Cup Feyenoord and PSV at 2. 2 to NA has Monterrey and Querétaro at 8. BN Sports Connect, the free version, has AFCON, Namibia, Mali, Tanzania, and DR Congo at 3. DAZN USA has Women's Champions League. Doubleheader at 12:45, doubleheader at 3. The Plus has the Belgian Cup at 12:40, doubleheader in the Copa del Rey. Semifinal in the Gummy Bear Cup with Fulham and Liverpool's at 3. Bundesliga, Bayern Munich and Union Berlin is at 3:20. And the Asian Championship was this morning on Paramount Plus. VIX has Monterrey and Querétaro at 8 o'clock. Breaking news really quickly. Because I don't have skinny enough fingers, I always end up hitting the wrong button. Tom, speaking of AFCON, video making the rounds of security entering the stadiums in the Ivory Coast. Yeah, it is in the Ivory Coast. Male security personnel patting down women. Women were giggling, which was the weird part. Yeah. Equatorial Guinea was the smallest country in Africa, I believe. Definitely not one of. We'll get into transfer news and all the other stuff that is there. James Madison back in Spurs training and other quick news. It is Phil Neville loses an assistant coach to Charlotte FC, and Charlotte FC has picked up as associate head coach Miles Joseph. So Miles Joseph heads from Portland to Charlotte to be a part of that growth. Also, Jordan Brand exploring partnerships with other clubs like Chelsea, given the success of his relationship with PSG. And trying to see what else is on the list. Oh, the Al Nassr tour looks like because of the injury to CR38, looks like that got called off because they want to preserve the matchup with Messi when they come on tour. And let's see. Guardian had a couple of pieces with point deductions and things being suspended. I know that Crystal Palace right now. Roy Hodgson looks like his time on the touchline is on life support. And keep an eye on all of that. Let's see. Where was I looking? Yeah, Hodgson's on thin ice. EFL roundup. It looks like Reading have agreed. Tell me if you've heard this before. Reading have agreed to a suspended 3-point penalty with the EFL over the pitch invasion, which forced the abandonment of their League One match with Port Vale this month. Remember, we talked about that. And that was the one where the fans started throwing the tennis balls early on and showing their displeasure over their owner. And because of that, then in the 16th minute, you had 1,000 fans run onto the field. The Port Vale fans actually applauded and shook hands with the Reading supporters who went onto the field to protest their ownership. And the EFL has announced the club now have come to an agreement over the suspended points penalty in line with a sanction handed to Blackpool in similar circumstances in 2015. That was when, I'm thinking of Blackburn Rovers. Blackpool had similar circumstances in 2015. The match will be replayed Tuesday, February 20th. In explaining the sanction, the EFL said in a statement the suspended penalty would be activated with immediate effect in either the current season or next year if any fixture played in any EFL competition is postponed or abandoned due to disruption by the club's supporters. League continues to recognize the ongoing challenges for the club and its supporter base, and notes the views expressed at the supporter meeting held with the EFL last week in respect of imposing further immediate points deductions on the club. So, Reading beat Derby County, by the way. Big win at home, 1-0 the other day. Wigan beat Wickham 1-0. Goal in the 110th minute of the match. Stoppage was because of an injury to the referee, who found himself caught in a midfield sandwich 10 minutes after the restart, replaced by the fourth official. So, and my Dons lost to the team that left town 3-1. Finished with 9 because we had 2 players sent off. Okay, good work. All right, so let me buzz through all of the other stuff really quickly and see if I've missed anything. Okay, Mo Salah, I wanted to talk about that. Andy Hunter at the Guardian. Liverpool's assistant manager Pep Lijnders has said Mo Salah's commitment to Egypt should never be questioned amid fierce criticism of his exit from AFCON. Returned to Liverpool today for treatment on a torn hamstring, expected to keep him out 3 to 4 weeks, most likely the rest of Egypt's AFCON campaign. Decision was taken between Egypt and Liverpool's medical teams, according to Lijnders. Gives Salah the best chance of playing in the final on February 11th if they progress that far. As Egypt's captain, his departure from the squad has attracted widespread criticism back home. Ahmed Hassan, Egypt's most capped player and a 4-time AFCON winner, accused the 31-year-old, quote, of plotting his departure from the Ivory Coast, and claimed he should have stayed with the squad, quote, even if he only had one leg to stand on, end quote. And then that was when Lijnders stepped in and said, basically, bruh, if he could, the only reason why they decided for him to come back was to give him the best chance to be there for the final. No one's more committed than Mo Salah. So Pep Lijnders snapped back. Hassan argued that a member of Liverpool's medical staff could have treated Salah at Egypt's training camp. So the back and forth continues. Liverpool will have Andy Robertson available for the Gummy Bear Cup semi on Wednesday night with Fulham. 3 months out with a dislocated shoulder. Alexander Arnold and Dominic Szoboszlai remain absent. Should be back for the FA Cup 4th-round tie against Norwich. They take a 2-1 lead into the match today. Jose to CP. Okay. Steve Cooper, I think, for Crystal Palace, Tom. They've had an eye on Steve Cooper for a long time, and there is no sit and wait. There's no period that Steve Cooper would have to sit out before he could get another appointment. They've had their eye on Steve Cooper for a while. If it's anybody but Steve Cooper, I will be surprised. Michael Valverde. Seems Atlanta United are done with transfers. Quiet as a church mouse. That's how they roll. They might be looking at other things. They might not. We don't know. Like I said, we don't know what we don't know. But you've still got another week left in the window for dealing with European talent. If Atlanta United's got somebody earmarked, usually, traditionally, they're very, very tight-lipped. The information dealing with Atlanta United is always inbound. It is rarely outbound. You rarely hear of something coming from Atlanta outbound in a media sense. You usually, we learned about Polish sourcing with the Polish Hammer. We learned about having Thomas Ladarchek as a part of our saved 280 character journalists. We learned about that one this past time out. Set your notifications for Thiago Almada and then check your sources. So there's a week left in the window. Got the game this weekend. The Twos announced their preseason. First 5 of the 6 matches are going to be up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. So we'll see what happens with all of that. But it's always, Michael, exactly, Hutch, loose lips sink ships. It's always inbound, always from the outside in, from the target and the target market here. Abby, public service. Abby needs assistance. Printer's been cray-cray. Spent a few hours fixing it yesterday, got it working, then went back to being cray-cray this morning. Really needs a major cleaning and service. Anyone have any recommendations of places that do that? An HP printer way out of warranty, preferably northwest or north of downtown. Thank you in advance. I actually figured that out on the fly. Abby posts TYIA, and I guessed that was thank you in advance. So Abby needs help with an HP printer, an old HP printer. Traditionally, Hutch, that's what I have to do. Hutch says call an exorcist. Usually I have to call an exorcist to get the computer turned on in the morning. Let's see if I missed anything on the list. Did not miss anything on the list. We talked about what is to be watched and when. I think we covered all of that. So let's get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. Excuse me. From our friends at the BBC. And they usually have the biggest list. And so we'll go through it pretty quick. Al Nasser lining up an audacious bid, according to the four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. For Casemiro and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Drew Dickinson, I'm sure, will discuss this Friday and prim and proper. Al Nasser have already had a £20 million bid turned down for Emerson Royale and view Wan-Bissaka as a viable alternative. Victor Osimhen has hinted he's ready to leave Napoli this summer. Chelsea, Man U, Real Madrid all linked to him. Release clause of just over $100 million in his contract. Man U's on loan Mason Greenwood edging ever closer to a summer switch to Barcelona after starring for Getafe. That's the three-letter paper. We've talked about Nottingham Forest and Gio Reyna. Roy Hodgson has been warned that he could be sacked if results do not improve after holding talks with Chairman Steve Parish. Jose Mourinho rejected officially the offer from Al-Shabaab to go to the league in the Middle East. Napoli have agreed on a loan deal with Aston Villa, including a non-mandatory option to buy clause worth €9 million for midfielder Leander Dendoncker. That's from Fabrizio Romano. We talked about Newcastle hijacking Antonio Nusa, seeing as a direct replacement for Miguel Almiron if he goes to Al-Shabaab. Chelsea have registered their interest in Karim Benzema. Sure, Chelsea will go ahead and pay that $87 million a year. Well, probably won't be that, but they'll pay for it. Forest also plotting a loan move for Trevor Chalobah, who's a key target for Fulham, currently recovering from a long-term hamstring injury, three-letter paper. Netherlands winger Arnaud Danjuma, target for Lyon, with his parent club Villarreal growing frustrated at his lack of game time on loan at Everton, four-letter paper. Manchester United interested in Bayern Munich's Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting and Sporting Lisbon's winger Marcus Edwards. Manchester United also interested, and they're leading the race for Bologna's forward Joshua Zirkzee, despite interest from Arsenal, three-letter paper. Newcastle set to sign Manchester City's 18-year-old English midfielder Alfie Harrison. Sheffield United may make a move for Forest's center back Joe Worrell, and have also registered an interest in Mason Holgate as a possible loan signing from Everton. Sheffield United also close to a £2 million deal for Atletico Madrid keeper Ivo Grbic, four-letter paper, and the Portland Thorns will pay $250,000 or pounds, to make Chelsea midfielder Jesse Fleming the most expensive signing made by an American women's team. They also have re-signed Becky Sauerbrunn, I believe, and they have also re-signed Christine Sinclair to a one-year deal. So it looks like that you've got the Portland Thorns in the Western Conference, so the western half of it all, and you have Gotham in the eastern half of it all. Becky Sauerbrunn, one-year extension. Re-signed Megan Klingenberg, extended Gabby Provenzano, and re-signed Christine Sinclair for a year. So you've got a roster out west with 1 year. Sauerbrunn, Klingenberg, Provenzano, Sinclair. I know it's not quite Gotham, but it's still pretty stout. Abby's got news on Caleb Wiley not playing this weekend, but the injury did happen during the friendly. So Yeah, so here's Portland, by the way. Becky, Bixby, Coffey, Klingenberg, Olivia Moultrie, Provenzano, Sauerbrunn, Sinclair, and Sophia Smith. So it looks like it's going to be Portland out west to keep an eye on, and it's going to be Gotham. So Portland and Gotham right now in the NWSL. When we get closer to the season, we'll try to grab Jen Hildreth before the season starts, and we'll get Jen to discuss what in the wide world of sports is going on in the NWSL. Let me check the other papers and the other gossip columns real quick. So let's see if we have any latest. Miguel Almiron is listed as the most likely player to leave Newcastle this month. West Ham and Manchester City have agreed on the loan deal to Calvin Phillips. AC Milan still want to sign Callum Wilson. Manchester United are keen on Araujo. So Chicharito makes news out there. Bayern Munich are seriously considering ending their pursuit of Kieran Trippier. Club increased the offer to around £13 million, between 15 and 16 million euro. Second approach rejected. And according to Sky in Germany, after discussions this morning, they have decided not to make a new offer and are about to withdraw from the negotiations. Sky Germany has been told the bosses are not willing to do, quote, unreasonable things. So we'll keep an eye on Kieran Trippier. Let's see. Move for Ryan Giles in the lower divisions. No major developments on the future of Kylian Mbappe, according to John Legossip, Jonathan Johnson. And that looks like that one's locked down. Watford have confirmed the signing of Emmanuel Dennis on loan from Nottingham Forest for the rest of the year. According to Florian Plettenberg in Germany, Forest have yet to submit a concrete offer for Gio Reyna. So we'll keep an eye on Gio Reyna going forward there. What's gone wrong with Benzema at Al Ittihad, according to Jonathan Johnson? Number of disagreements in recent weeks. Been apart from the squad, took a while to return to training. We've seen other players, once again, this is quote, we've seen other players return to Europe who perhaps maybe feel the idea of what they were signing up for hasn't quite lived up to the reality, but also with regards to Benzema, he was always going to want things to be at a certain level immediately upon his arrival, and perhaps he feels let down on that front. Remember, Nuno was his coach there. And when Nuno and Karim Benzema are butting heads, who's going to win that battle? That's why Nuno's now coaching in Nottingham Forest. The same time, according to Johnson, there was always this idea, if at all possible, to try and play for Lyon one more time before the end of his career. I think that's also a factor for playing into this feeling of unease for Karim Benzema. And £87 million a year in salary. £87 million. Brighton close to signing Kamari Doyle from Southampton, undergoing a medical with Brighton this morning. Our time, this afternoon, their time. We've gone way over. Not that that's a surprise on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Thanks to Dylan Butler for dropping by. Thanks to Jarrett for dropping by early. We won't have Jarrett tomorrow. We will have Nico Moreno tomorrow. He'll discuss Pedro de la Vega, apparently showing up yesterday at practice for Seattle wearing a white hoodie. So we will have that tomorrow. We'll have all the other news tomorrow. We'll have all the other stuff tomorrow. And we will have you tomorrow. Once again, tomorrow. At Top Golf, Northwest Atlanta. Be there for the Southern Crescent, SESoccerFoundation.com for the mini pitch. 92.9, the game will be there. I'll be there. Jared will be there. We'll be there getting heckled. Be there if you just want to be there. Sign up when you walk in the door. I think that, as we talked about, teams of 4 might be a loose construct, but it's a great idea for folks down in the Southern Crescent who want to play all year long. And thanks to our friends at the Georgia Revolution for being a part of that conversation as well. Once again, reminder, the Abstermobile is going to be helping out with our Marshall Islands fundraiser and the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Once again, it is Raise the Fleet, and we are helping them out. They're having their first futsal cup this weekend and next on the island. If you missed the Justin Wally interview live from Majuro, it is on the network, so you can pick that up and you can listen to it. And once again, 32 in the Abstermobile will help out with all of the domestic shipping, as it were, and domestic deliveries. Anybody outside of this planet or this particular time zone will work on shipping, and internationally will be done with our friends at the Marshall Islands. So we'll handle the domestic, they'll handle the international, and we'd love for you guys to be a part of it because they want to do some stuff here in October, and we'd like for them to. We want to help them out. So as always, thanks to all of you guys for being a part of things. We'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning, and we'll discuss stuff. That's the official term. So for everybody here, thanks to you there. Thanks to Maddie on the ones and twos. Thanks to all of you for all of the news that you guys put in the Twitch pitch that we get to talk about every single morning. Because I do have a loose rundown. I know it's a loose rundown, but you guys always bring stuff to the table, and it's fantastic. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. It's the end of the show. Mucho plati, all play it safe. It's the end, so that means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again 9:05 in the morning. Be good.